Perfect. Love it. It's raining on my way down. You can go a little forward, a little backward, a little sideways, whatever. Check that out. The color combo alone, you can run the
Did I say that I saw the C4 in the same color, like tan and green, and I was like,
I've seen that
we could be
before.
moving. Not quite. One of us would be a lot slower.
Via Wisconsin. Lake and ocean. Three type of go light.
Hey folks, it's William West Hopper, and we're here at Maryland Public Television in Owings Mills, Maryland, to look at some great cars, and also to get a first look at a new independent documentary called The Last Independent Automaker, a story about American Motors Corporation. So please join us. Hey there, it's William West Hopper from the real DCCarGuy, and I'm here with Joe Ligo from the Last Independent Automaker, AMC, American Motors Corporation story. So Joe, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm the producer-director of The Last Independent Automaker. It's a 6-part documentary series coming to public television stations in May. It's the story of American Motors Corporation from the 1940s to the 1980s, this little car company that built 12 million cars and employed 20,000 people. This is the story of the rise and fall of AMC, a car company that did things really differently.
So this project has been in sort of your mind and production for 10 years. Tell us about that very first AMC experience for you, who you look like you're in your 30s, so you know they were vintage antique cars when you were a kid. So
yeah, I mean, I wish I'd had the money to buy one when I was a teenager because they were a lot cheaper back then. The collector market for AMCs has heated up a little because I think people realize what makes these cars so special. But yes, I was in high school and I was starting to get into cars like teenage guys do. And I remember reading a book about cars, and there's this one company called AMC, and they weren't around anymore. And that fascinated me, that there were these companies that used to be around but aren't. And so kind of digging into that underdog story really lit this passion for me for these oddball cars, you know. And so as I grew up, I started making, you know, automotive videos for YouTube and writing about cars, and it just seemed like a natural progression of that. I loved AMC so much, and I had read Pat Foster's excellent books about American Motors. I said, well, we should adapt these books into a documentary, and I guess it took off from there.
And here we are.
I originally grew up north of Pittsburgh, which surprisingly, Pennsylvania is pretty big AMC country, I guess.
Absolutely. I grew up in Pennsylvania too, and that's how I know AMC.
I guess second to maybe like New England, this was one of the bigger markets for American Motors. So I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, went to college out there, and then actually moved to South Central PA to work for Motor Week here at Maryland Public Television.
Another PBS station?
Yes, excellent. And MPT is acting as our presenting station for this program, so huge thanks to them for being involved in this project.
So here you are, a high school student up in north of Pittsburgh. What was that first AMC vehicle that you remember seeing? Was it the Gremlin? Was it the Scrambler? Was it your beloved AMC Ambassador, or was it a Matador?
It's really tough to remember the first one I saw. I probably don't remember, but I remember getting into them when I was in high school and reading about them in car books and magazines. And I mean, you'd go to a car show and you might see one Javelin, hundreds of Mustangs, one Javelin. Or I remember seeing a neighbor had a really nice 63 Rambler. And I remember when I was in college a few years later, I was out jogging and there was a Gremlin for sale in a guy's yard, and he only wanted $2,500, which of course as a college kid I didn't have. But now, just a running non-rusted Gremlin is $8,000. I was like, if only I could go back in time and buy that Gremlin.
Is there such a thing as a non-rusted AMC vehicle? Because didn't they have a reputation of rust?
So, the 60s and 70s especially, American cars, all American cars struggled with rust issues, reliability issues. That's something we talk about in a later episode. Into the 80s, AMC really put a lot of effort into fighting the perception of American cars being rust buckets. They added, better factory rust protection and a 5-year warranty for rust, all of which seems pretty, simple today because all cars have that. But back in the 80s, that was pretty cutting edge to offer that generous of a warranty and that much extra rust protection. They were kind of a leader in that as far as how well it actually worked.
What was the first car you learned to drive on?
Oh, gosh. So I grew up on a farm, so all of the motorized vehicles I learned, wheel horse lawnmower. My dad had Ford tractors. And so, those were the first vehicles I got to drive. But car-wise, I always joke that my family are the best at having boring cars. We had a Ford Taurus. I think that's probably the first thing I ever drove was a Ford Taurus. Toyotas, Subarus, nothing exciting. We had one uncle who had a Hudson way back when, so I guess he might have passed the gene down to me.
There you go.
But as far as exciting cars, I grew up, I think that's maybe why I fell in love with AMC, because I grew up in a household of sensible, economically minded, wise, everyday cars, and I said, I got to do something different.
But you don't have a desire for a minivan?
As a daily driver, I think the packaging is very smart with minivans. But, for me, if I was going to buy a classic car to enjoy, it's got to be something like an AMC that's different and fun.
That's right. Is there an AMC owners club that you're involved in?
Yes.
And how is that set up around the country?
Yes. So,
and how can people find out more about that and join that?
Sure. So you can look up the American Motors Owners Association. They've been a huge help with the documentary. That's a national club. And then the AMO has local chapters you can find on their website. So you can join a local chapter and the national club. And so lots of great folks. They've been a huge help with this project.
And this is a 6-part series that's going to be on public television all across the country, not just at Maryland Public Television, though it will be right after Motor Week, right here.
Yes.
Here in the DC DMV area, it'll be right after Motor Week. What's the next project?
I don't know.
There's got to be something else in there. If you've been 10 years into building this, there's got to be something coming up.
There's always something brewing, but nothing official. But I will say, we're going to put the series on YouTube. After it airs on TV, it'll also be on our YouTube channel, which is called Auto Moments. There's a lot of other car stuff there that people can enjoy.
Auto Moments?
Yes, so they can view it on YouTube. And one thing I hope we can do is that, or one thing we plan on doing is after the series is out, we're going to put a lot of bonus features online that we couldn't fit into the 6-part documentary. So interviews that were too long that still had really good stuff, we're going to put that online, little bonus features and things like that we hope to share online. So,
all right, so Auto Moments is your own
YouTube channel.
Your YouTube channel, and you've had that for what, 15 years?
Yeah, probably getting close to that, about 12, 13 years.
Are there images of you with hair on your head in that?
Probably, yes.
People can go back and look for that. All right.
Yes, but we hope to share a lot of bonus features on YouTube, things that didn't make it into the final project, because there's so many great stories, and it's always heartbreaking when you have to cut something to make it fit. But what's great about the internet is there's no time limit, so we can share that stuff.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you so much for all the research and the history. And as you said earlier today, is that you are the documentarian for this history that wouldn't be there, would just go away. And you've done it. Spent some time with some of the characters that have been involved in that. So thank you so much, and we're all looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, William. I really appreciate it. And of course, huge thanks to, Pat and Jim, a huge part of our team, and all the people in the club who helped preserve this history, that were able to share it with us through interviews and memorabilia and research that then I could put into this one project.
Well,
it's truly a team effort.
And it shows how important it is to have a team, and you did a great job. So what we saw this afternoon was amazing. So I'm looking forward to tuning in, but I don't want to tune in early. I want to watch, I want to wait every week to watch it.
Yes, yeah. Check your local listings and be sure to enjoy it.
Very good.
I know you will.
Very good. Thanks so much. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Real DC Car Guy, as we took a look at this brand new upcoming PBS documentary on American Motors Corporation called The Last Independent Automaker, AMC, that's going to be live on public broadcasting this summer. Until next time.